guys, it's Grant's Comics here, and today we're going to review American Honda presents DC Comics Supergirl, right there. This is a very, very, very unique comic. It's from 1984. It says incorporate of the U.S. Department of Transportation National Safety Belt Campaign, and Honda is sponsored this in the back in the 80s. So this is like one of those promotion. I don't know if it was a free promotion where, you know, if you go to the Honda dealership, you can get a free comic. So I don't know if this was, you know, one of it where if you were a kid in the 80s and your parents say I got a new car at Honda, or if they gave this out in school during the 80s for free, I don't know. I don't know what to say for this, but yeah, it's one of those promotion comics, and it's in the back it says seatbelts, a simple, faster life, because it promotes safety, driving, safety travels in a car. And like I said, I like it. You know, I wish modern comics. I don't know if modern comics do that, right? Like today's comics, but if they don't, I wish they could. I wish they did, even though, like, I wish, like, modern comics could do, like, because a lot of, right now, big issue is, like, you know, drugs and, you know, racism and, you know, that kind of stuff. It happens in this society, and I wish that today's comics could promote, like, hey, violence not an answer, say no to drugs. But the whole say no to drugs thing's been out since God knows how long, probably since humans were around, and still people still do them. So when it comes to that, it's helpful in a way, like it encourages kids, but at the same time, when these kids get older, and if they're like crazy, they do it doesn't really help. But it's cool. In this particular story, the guy named Steve, he goes to the movies with his sister Elliot because Supergirl's like busy, and she rescues this trucker from an earthquake, and he goes to the movies with his sister. But it turns out that he gets into a car accident. So he gets into a car accident, and like I don't know if that's a pipe or what hits him, but he gets into one of those wrecks, and yeah, here's what the wreck looks like. He gets into the wreck, and people are all like, "Oh my gosh, there's kids in there? Are they gonna be okay?" and stuff. They're all like panicking, and you can kind of see in here where he's like in the hospital. He's like in a coma, and the doctor's saying, yeah, he's in a coma, and we don't know how long he's gonna be in there. He doesn't have no brain damage, but they just don't know how long they're gonna be in there. And Supergirl, Kel, says, "Oh my gosh, I should have been there with him when he was going to the movies," or something like that. So she goes to Superman, and she asks Superman for help. And I guess Superman has this like machine where you can go into anybody's mind and just kind of like go into their dreams, kind of like. So since Steve was in a coma, Supergirl decides to go in Steve's mind. So the first thing you see is like I don't know if it's like a military base. I don't know what that is. So the first thing you see is like kind of like Antarctica, because they're like in like a snowy area where these goons are trying to chase Steve in this futuristic car. Kind of cool. So yeah, they go into and they chase Steve, and they try to like kill him and stuff like that. But in this particular dream, his name is Gordon. That's what his name is. And every dream he's in, his sister is telling him, "Hey, before we go, put on your seatbelt." And he's refusing. Here's this guy who looks like Baraka from Mortal Kombat. So yeah, he goes, and then of course he gets into a car accident in a dream, and I guess in the dream, it happens in real life too. But he's like in like he's like not traumatized, but he's like hurt in real life, and his family is like panicking. Supergirl is panicking and stuff like that. But in this comic, I guess if you die in real life, you die. I mean, if you die in a dream, you die in real life, kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street. And he goes to another dream. In this one, he's in the jungle, kind of like a Indiana Jones kind of vibe, right there. He's in a jeep, and again, Supergirl is with him in the back, with trying to tell him, hey, wake up, everything's gonna be everything's gonna be all right and stuff like that. And of course, Elliot, where's the panel? Elliot's in the dream saying, hey, put on your seatbelt before we go. So, and of course, like I said, he also gets in a wreck in this dream, but instead, because there's like the boulder, I don't know if you guys can see that. Oh, the boulder right over here. But in this dream, Supergirl actually saves Steve in this dream, so that's kind of cool that happened. And then back in the hospital, the doctor said, I'm not sure what's going on in his head, but but he had 2 setbacks in the last hour, so that's like his freak out. So you can see Supergirl freaking out, and you can see Steve freaking out. And then in the last dream, in the last like the last comatose dream, he's a detective, and he has a secretary named, I forget his name, Zelda. Okay, and this one he's trying to find a guy called Gutsman or something. So of course, again, the sister is in the dream telling him to put on the seatbelt, and he goes in the car, and he tries to find the guy, I guess the bad guy in his dream. And then yeah, you guys know the drill, but this time he actually lives in the dream, and he comes back to reality, and he's like, oh my gosh, where am I? Even Supergirl is like all exhausted, because in this like detective dream, he actually puts on his seatbelts. So, and then at the end, he just wants to go to a movie. So that's pretty cool. And then they show like information about safe driving, which I didn't read, but I will read you some. So it says, in the story, Steve has several wrong ideas about safety belts and his chances on being on serious accident. Many people share this belief in these mythics. Do you find out the answer? And then they just show different things and what happens in a crash, how fast are you. They tell you if you're in like certain positions, how many time you have left in a car accident, and it shows how strong are you. So, and it shows what would you do, like each of the scenes, like for these, what would you do if you were in this situation. So some of there's one that says there are 5 seatbelts in your car and they're only being used. Some more kids want to pile in a ride to football game. Do you let them ride with you just this once, or flatly refuse to let them in your car? Well, I'll answer that. It depends how, like, it just depends. Do you really need the ride? So I'll just put others. And then question B, your father feels pretty strongly that he's a terrific driver and he doesn't need a seatbelt. Do you A, figure it's his decision, leave it to that, or B, risk an argument by trying to convince him? If so, what would you say? I'll pick B, because what I say, I'll just say to my dad, like, dude, I would just say, I don't know, both, I guess, because to me, as long as I'm not in the car, I'm fine, but mostly B, I'll risk an argument. Okay, C, at a party, you notice that a college friend who's supposed to drive you home has a few drinks, so he's drunk. He doesn't seem drunk though. Do you A, take the ride since he seems to be in control, or B, politely decline and ride with someone else? B, I'm riding with someone else because no matter how drunk you are, if you're drunk, you're drunk. Okay, so I'll pick B, politely decline and ride with someone else. And then this is the last one. Your neighbor has asked you to do a favor with her while you're babysitting for a child. You have to be at the doctor's by 5 o'clock p.m. What's more, you don't have an infant seat in your car. Your neighbor took her seat with her, and the trip to her sister is a 20-minute ride on the highway. Do you take the baby with you anyways, or stay with the baby and miss your appointment until your neighbor returns your seat? That's unrealistic. Like, I mean, I guess it's, would I take the baby with me, or do I stay with the baby and miss? I'll just reschedule. So I'll be like B. I'll stay with the baby. They should have said stay with the baby and reschedule your appointment until your neighbor returns. So I'll just say like, hey, I have to stay with the baby. Can I reschedule? So that's what I'll do. But yeah, it just has this information about safe driving and stuff. I want to sell this, but I kind of know who I want to give this to. I'm not gonna give it to her. I'm just gonna, like, I don't know if she's gonna like the joke, but anyways, that's it for now. Supergirl comic about safe driving. Pretty clean book from 1984. Is it from 1984? Yeah, 1984. If you guys can subscribe to Grant's Comics and you guys are watching this video, make sure you subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, share this video and Grant's Comics to the comic book community. If you guys are subscribed to Grant's Comics and you guys are watching this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, share this video, and Grant's Comics channel, share that too. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright.